China has the fastest and largest high-speed rail network in the world, with more than 25,000 miles of high-speed rail, and even more miles being built as we speak. This railway dominance has been achieved in the last decade. Japan's bullet train, the Shinkansen, is famously known to reach 200 miles per hour in speed, which has become the backbone of domestic travel, moved almost 195 million passengers in 2021. But this isn't exclusive to Asian countries. France launched their high-speed train service known as TGV, or Train à Grande Vitesse, which can be as fast as the Japanese bullet train. And there is Amtrak, America's leading train company, which tends to delay its trains often and arrive later than they're supposed to. And there are no high-speed trains or rails for that matter. This begs the question, why does America stink at building and operating rail systems, unlike other countries? First of all, America doesn't stink at building rail systems. Back in 1827, America caught what's known as a railroad mania, a term specific to the events of the late 19th century. Railroads were built throughout the country, connecting major cities and regions. America managed to build thousands of miles of railroads for convenient transportation and cargo delivery, which are still used today. It all went great until the 1950s, when car companies began gaining momentum by releasing and advertising their car models that were affordable to America's middle class. Along with the oil industry, they lobbied their interest in the government to put as many people in cars as possible. In the 1950s, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a bill to create the National Interstate System, which allocated $25 billion to build 41,000 miles of highways. Now, the roads would be better and safer for everyone who could afford a car. Given the heavy advertisement of cars at that time, people rushed to buy one, slowly making trains fade away from the spotlight. The same can be said about airplanes. They became faster and more accessible for long-distance trips. And by the 1960s, America went from a rail-served country to a car-dependent nation. But it doesn't mean Americans hate trains. 63% of Americans would use high-speed rail if it was available to them. The number jumps up to 67% when they hear it would be cheaper than flying a plane. Right now, the only option they have is Amtrak. Its average speed between New York and Boston is only about 70 to 75 miles per hour. There is also Amtrak Acela Express, the fastest train available, reaching 150 miles per hour along the Northeast Corridor, which is still less than China's maximum train speed of 200 miles per hour. But how did China manage to accomplish such an achievement while America is only limping towards high-speed technology? The money issue is pretty straightforward. Building high-speed railroads, paying fair wages, and keeping pace cost billions of dollars, especially given the size of America. There are also land rights that come into play. Once you imagine a straight path, it's guaranteed that at some point along this line is the land owned by someone. Then you'd have to negotiate with the owner to buy a chunk of that land and continue building. But as you may guess, sometimes landowners aren't keen on selling it. In the case of China, the land is still largely controlled by the state, which makes it much easier to continue building. There are many other reasons, like environmental concerns and technological differences, but most of all, public support and political factors. Americans do want better trains, but most of them would find it hard to ditch their car for a train ride. Politicians, on the other hand, find train building extremely expensive, with little to no return on investment. But does it mean that America will never have high-speed rails? Well, we wouldn't be so pessimistic. As the demand for trains grows, we expect to see more initiatives that want to build such rails. Look no further. Texas Central is one of those private businesses that plans to build a railroad for bullet trains from Houston to Dallas. The company promises that it will be a safe 90-minute train ride secured by Japanese rail technology. Being financed by private investors who see the future at high speed, The company plans to finish the project by 2024. This is one of the reasons why some people remain optimistic that the U.S. will catch up to the rest of the world and build its own maglev train in the future.